Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel, and let's try the final chapter of the Hurricane build once again. On the last chapter, if you remember, I was having issues. What I thought was the receiver, it wasn't working, I thought. Then I thought it's the ESC, and while taking it apart, I think I found out what the problem was, and it's that the connectors to the ESC from the battery were not good enough. I'd made my own connectors, I put them together, and they probably are not good enough. That's basically the lessons learned that I think I have there. So I've managed to go down to the store, to the hobby shop. I got some banana plugs, and I got some connectors that then will connect into the battery, I hope. Let me check. Yes, this should connect into the battery, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to put in the connectors here to the banana connectors. I think they're called banana connectors, I'm not sure. And then connect them back to the ESC and try it once again. If I look at the gauge, it is slightly bigger than the cable that I'd used. Not by much. Don't know if you can see it, not by much. But it does seem to be a little bit stronger, so maybe that was the problem. Not enough power, not enough voltage or amperage or whatever goes through there. Not enough electrons flowing through. So now it's going to be back to the soldering, which again is an area where I need to practice much more and see if I can connect this up and do some tests before I put it back in and see if it holds now its power. So I've been doing some soldering, I wouldn't say my worst work, but also not my best. I'm not good at it. I've got the cable soldered from the outside because on the inside I somehow couldn't manage it. And anyhow, like it is what it is. Let's say it like that. Not my favorite part yet. And now let's do a live demonstration. So these, I'm also trusting the color coding that is everywhere with black to black and red to red. So let me try to put them in to the ESC. There's an 18 amp ESC that I very generously got also from Ray in the whole package. So I connect that up, and now what I'm going to do, I speak slowly because I'm thinking what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect this up to the receiver that goes to channel 3 for the motor. If I can squeeze it in. And now I'm going to turn the transmitter on, the radio master. You might hear it, and it's already paired. Like the pairing worked on this protocol, but the performance wasn't working so well. So now some fail-safe not set, I'm not sure what that is, and now I'm going to plug in the battery. I hope the right way up, so red to red, black to black. And I don't know what that sound means, but I hope it means that it's paired. So now I've got the whole thing here dangling. So there's a battery, there's an ESC, there is a receiver, and there's a propeller there, so here. So we can see it turn or not, and let's see how this performs. There's also a bit of a red light there that probably indicates something. And a red light there also which indicates. So let's see if it arms up. It probably is armed. Down. Okay, it starts to turn. So when I just move the throttle lever up a little bit, it already wants to turn, which is already better than it was. So let's see. So I'm halfway throttle. It's behaving much better than before. 60% maybe, 3/4. This is really very powerful. I feel it surging a little bit. I'm at maximum power. So at maximum power it was surging slightly, but it's way better than it was. Like way better. At that point another one would already have quit. I'm going to try it again, and then going to try to do some elevator or other movements. So full power. So I don't know if you could hear it, but it was kind of surging slightly, like losing a bit of power, recovering, losing power. So I think the connections are much better now, for sure, because before it wouldn't hold on hold out so much. And which is actually, it's good, right? Which is good. So it's much better than it was. The question is it good enough? I think that's the key question to consider. And let me try it once more. It does have quite a lot of thrust. I do feel it in the hand trying to fly away, so I think I'm not going to get any better than this, so I'm going to leave it as is. Now the question to me now is, do I want to go and switch the receiver back to the one I had, or shall I leave this one here and put the other one on the little glider? To be or not to be? That's the question. If this one is already plugged in and I've got everything here, then I might just as well leave it, right? And then I have to connect and redo the little glide a little bit. Anyhow, I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to pack it up again, stuff it into the engine area, let's say, and then hopefully continue with the assembly, putting on the wing and all the other parts, and continuing. So far, happy with the progress. Not 100%, but I'm going to call it 80% success, and hopefully it doesn't give up in the air. With the electronics problem kind of overcome, what I've been up to, I've been putting some clear lacquer onto the wing. It's still, I suppose it looks kind of okay from your point of view, but I see a lot of wrinkles everywhere, and I mean, it's kind of tense, but especially for the humidity, you know that sometimes I fly in the morning, so the humidity actually wrinkles it up. So I've put some clear lacquer on it. I still want to do the fuselage, but for that I need to cover the canopy, so I'll probably do it after the final assembly. So that's a bit of progress there. I've also been doing the landing gear. So these are the wheels that come with the kit. Very nice wheels. They're actually Guillows, which is interesting because it is a Dumas kit, but they come with Guillows from the competition. I haven't even glued them. I managed to clip them in. Just had to do some minor modifications, and then I've detailed them with a pen, silver color pen, which looks kind of okay for me. I'm kind of happy with those. It's just for show because it's not going to be a functional landing gear, but at least for when it's at home, which is most of the time, then at least it should have some nice wheels. So happy about those two wheels, kind of okay. And then what I've been doing, which is also taking some time, I've been preparing the landing gear. Now for that I've taken some wire, I've bent it, I tried to solder it according to the instructions, and the solder falls off, so I still have to get a lot better at soldering. I've put in a tube, which is a plastic tube from a Q-tip. I've put some tape somehow to give it a shape of that it's oleo struts, I'm guessing, and this one I have glued already with wood, and this should actually go into the wing. So that's going to be probably one of the next steps. This, if you see the wing here, I think this landing gear goes inwards, so I need to probably sand it down to size that then it fits in there and kind of stays in there relatively stiff. It will not, of course, then go up. It's just, as I say, just for show. So that's one of the landing gears. And then I need to, of course, I need to cut here the tissue out and things like that, but that should not be any major problem. Before I do that, I want to finish the other one, which I only just set, and it's now being glued together. There it is. And I put in the other decoration, let's say, that is needed there, and then I'll paint it. I'll probably spray paint it black because my normal paint probably will not stick to the plastic. So I'll spray paint it black and do the test on the fuselage, and then also put on the pants, kind of, let's call them the pants. They're not quite pants, it's the covers for then if it would go into the wing, what it would cover. So that's the progress so far, and my aim is later today in the evening, before going to bed, is to assemble the whole plane together. Basically glue the wing and the fuselage together, and take it from there, still with markings and things like that. So happy about the progress, some visible progress. So what I have now, I have connected, I've put together the wing with the ailerons. I've also put on the control rods. Let's see if I can show you there. I've put also the horns, the control rods, as I say, and I've connected also the receiver to the Y cable that connects the ailerons, and now what I want to do is to test, before I glue the whole thing together, is to make sure that the ailerons do move. I don't really care if they move wrong, because I know that I can invert it then if needed, but now this is kind of the big test before gluing together. In theory, even if I glue it together, I could still fix things because I can reach through the battery hatch, but if I can do it now easier, then why not? So the transmitter is on. I'm plugging in the battery, and I'm going to put it there. It's quite heavy, right? So, and I hope I don't break anything. Let's see if I arm it to make sure still that the propeller is still working. Armed. No. Somehow now the propeller is not wanting to work. Let's see if I lift it up a little bit. No, it's doing kind of a barking noise. I don't know if you can hear it. The aileron servo seems to be working. Let's see the rudder. The rudder also. Let's see the ailerons. The ailerons also work in opposite directions. I think even in the right direction. But now the motor is not working again. Maybe back to the same problem of before. Now this is worrying. It's making a sound like if it wants to, but then it doesn't. What can be the problem? It tries. But it doesn't work. But it did work before, right? So I don't think the battery can be out. The only thing I changed now was connecting the ailerons, so let me disconnect them and see if that is maybe taking some energy from it. I've got to be careful because if I move something I can tear up something. I really don't know what's going on now. Let me try another battery, let's see if that's the issue. So I've put in now another battery, the bigger one actually, what I think is the better one. It does have a bump because it did fall. Let's see now. No, it's not doing anything. Again, rudder servo does work. Elevator servo does work, so there is connection coming, but the motor, what if I the motor is not wanting to turn, so I'm stuck again with electronics. I'll have to fight this one out a little bit, I'm afraid. I'll be back when I can. I'm back. So what I did, I took out the ESC that I squished into this part, of the engine area actually, and I noticed that maybe the cables, there was a little bit of a bare spot, and maybe throwing, like putting the maximum power on it, was maybe making electrons jump over. It's my theory, I have no idea about this, evidently, as you can see. I put on some masking tape somehow to separate them a little bit. It might be wise actually to separate them more. And then I tried it again, and with a bit of a jerky start. But it does connect, so probably when I was jamming it in there in the front of the engine area, then I probably squished something or something. I did something wrong evidently, and that happened. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to see if I can keep these two cables away from each other. I'm not sure how. Maybe I'm putting a piece of wood or something to make sure that there's no electrons jumping over the wrong way. and see if I can still jam it in there, because it's not very much space. It did take me some time to jam it in there, and I want it there as far forward as possible, because then I need the space for the receiver and also the battery. All this still has to be crammed in, so I'm not giving up yet on gluing the wing together today, but yeah, some lessons learned. Learn electronics, that helps. A bit of a handheld take. I've managed to glue the wing on. I did test it also with all the ailerons, everything works well. I hope it holds. And I have measured also from the center line, that center line, up to the end of the wing before it does the wingtip dihedral, and it seems to be very close on both sides. I think but within 2 millimeters or 1 millimeter difference. I don't know if it's part of the design or if it's my mistake. There's a gap there. I decided to leave the gap there, not at the front, because at the front there's more surface area to put glue. I do have the feeling, and I can't show you probably, or maybe I can. So there's not much of a surface contact for the glue. So there's a little bit here at the front, and then on the spars there's a little bit, but actually the rib that is on the fuselage does not actually touch the rib on the wing on either side. So that's why it's, if you see it here, it actually is just beside it. So I'm not sure again if it's my mistake on the building or the plan, or if it's just designed to be like that, but then there are just a very few tiny spots that hold the wing together, which is a little bit worrying. I have the feeling that will rip off, so I'm going to see how I can somehow strengthen it. For the moment I'm going to leave it to set like this overnight. Then when it's somehow holding, I'll probably put much more glue into the joints, and I'll think of how to maybe use this, maybe some wood also to glue the trailing edge of the wing to that gap, to close the gap actually, and then also to have some more gluing surface. So anyhow, now I'm going to turn it around, I think, and I'm going to leave it overnight. And some visible progress. As you can see, I glued the wing on. As I mentioned, there are not very many spots to glue, so I've been squeezing it as much glue as I could also from the inside, hoping that the fuselage and the wing will stay together in flight. I don't think it's going to be acrobatic, so hopefully it is enough. I've also put the landing gear on. I think it looks okay, and it's anyhow, as I say, not going to be used for landing and takeoff. I think overall it stands nice. Maybe a little bit, the tail wheel might be a little bit too big, but I think it's going to look nice when it's hanging or standing, whatever it is. And the assembly continues. So before I put on the tail feathers that I have lying there, I'm going to use these, and this is a very nice detail from Dumas, that actually they provide not just something to trace, but even the card. And this is for the what they call the wing fillets that go here on the side, right? So I have to cut them out, figure out which one goes where. This is right, that's left, and then somehow figure out how to do it. Once that is glued in somehow, and then I have to put also the tissue over it and finish the green tissue. I think it's going to be mostly green tissue to do the markings. There's still something probably missing somewhere, so I have to review that. And only then I will go ahead and put the tail surfaces on and do the connections, and then also the other markings, the roundels and things like that. So, and another update on a productive day. So I've put already these, what are they called, fillets on the sides, and I've put one layer of tissue on them. I should have probably cut them closer in so that the black line is not visible there, but I'm leaving it there. There's also a dotted line there in the back. I don't know if you can see it, which I'm not sure what it's for, and it, of course, you can see it through the tissue, but I'll have to live with it. On the fillet area, I'm still going to put then some green tissue to match up the camouflage. I think it's one piece, another small piece, and maybe one more on this side, which is, I think it's okay. It doesn't focus there, right there. So maybe 3 pieces, maybe 4, and with that then basically the camouflage will be ready. And then I've also been doing other parts, which is all the details, right? So I have somewhere, this is the carburetor intake. I don't know if you can see it. It's made up of 6 pieces of wood. You have to glue them together, and then I've painted them over. still drying, so I'm going to leave it there. I've got the exhausts, 2 sets of these, made up of 3 pieces glued together. Again, I don't know if it focuses there, and basically glued together, sanded down to be kind of rounded, and then this will come and stick over here. And then I've also got the radiator, I believe it is, or the oil cooler or something, which is still drying, so I have it here on a piece of tissue. I'm painting it by hand, which is not as perfect as spray painting, but I think it matches the overall style. I still put some black on the front and the back, and then that goes and sticks underneath the wing. So then some more minor details, and then at some point I'll put on the tail feathers. I want to leave it to then, because moving it around I don't want to break it. So once I stick all these little bits and pieces, I'll go and do the tail feathers and do the connection of the rods, and then at some point also the decals. And here it is. Victory, at least in the build, I'm going to say. I've got the battery in it also, so that I can test the center of gravity, though I do have the wheels. I've managed to put on the markings. I thought they were decals, but they aren't. They're stickers, which is, I would say, easier to put in, but I have the feeling that they will unstick. This one, for example, this is for where it's indicating where the guns are. It's already getting unstuck. So they look nice. They look very nice and clean. Let's see how I can get them maybe to stay. I still want to do a layer of clear lacquer, so hopefully that will also seal in the stickers. I'll show you the details. Here you see also the markings on the side. They're also getting off a little bit, so I need to rub them in a little bit more. Details that I've put on the, I don't know if you can see it, the filter, I think there's the radiator for the oil cooler. It's still white around because the glue is still there. I've got, I think this is the carburetor intake made of wood and also glued, and I think that's already quite okay. I'm quite convinced that this will fall off on the first crash landing, but anyhow, I want to have it ready for that. There might be one detail missing, which is the antennae, which I have to look for. It's on one of the sheets, and I want to paint it, probably it'll be green. I think it's going to be here, so I'll have to paint it green. And then the markings, as you see, everything there. The only point I would say is that the tail wheel maybe is a little bit big, because when I stand it, I don't know if you can see it there, it somehow is very much tail high. You can kind of see it. And the spinner, I don't think I'll put it on because I'm not sure what propeller to use. I have the 3 bladed prop for the moment, but I might also have 2 bladed props. Also the exhausts, they're there. So in overall, I'm going to declare it kind of complete. As I say, still the clear lacquer. I want to mask off the canopy before I do that, and the propeller. So I'll do it probably maybe later today or this week. And I'll also do some test runs, like just to run the propeller and see if there's any kind of control with the rudder. But in overall, I think it's been a great build. Very entertaining, some frustration with, especially with electronics. The whole part of building with the wood, very nice, very much fun, I'm going to say, very entertaining. And it's taking, I'm not sure how much it's taken. I've got to check when I started this. I normally write it on the plan, but I'm not sure if I did it this time. So I'll have to check on the videos, but it's taken me a couple of months to build it, which is also, I have it here. I started beginning of March. We are now mid of June, so you can calculate. So 2-3 months, almost 3 months to do it, or a bit more than 3 months to do it, with some distractions on the way. And then the next step will be to do the maiden. But before that, I still need to practice with the lidl, and I need to try the piper cup, so it's going to go and hang from the ceiling somewhere and look nice for a while before I crash it. So thank you especially to Raymond Richards that we have, and for sending it in, for all the electronics, for actually giving the whole model. Without that I would not have done it, of course. And thank you, of course, to everybody for following along and all your comments and recommendations and tips. Very much appreciated. And the next project is going to be to clean up the table. As you see, the mess grows there, and then I'll find some other projects to do. So thank you everybody, and I'll see you next time.